What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am back home from Miami. Spent an awesome week with a ton of Bitcoiners down there at the Bitcoin 2022 conference, and it was a hell of a time. And so I figured for today's news show, being back home, we could chat a little bit about the goings-on in Miami Beach and some of the big announcements, some of my personal experiences. It's going to be impossible to cover it all, but I will do my best. Of course, as always, this is live. Anything can happen, so I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
If you haven't already, please do hit like, subscribe, share, all those things. Super important. They really do help get the show in front of more eyeballs. And I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we hit the news, let's take a look at where we are in the market right now. This is the bitbo.io dashboard. By the way, shout out to Chris Gimmer, who I did see down there in Miami, who created this fine dashboard here. We're sitting at $39,976 per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 2,502 sats. 90.53% of all Bitcoin have in mind. In terms of fees, 8 sats per byte for the next block. If you're willing to wait an hour, 1 sat per byte should be just fine. Shout out to sponsor of the show, Shakepay.com. Also, big shout out to them for bringing down Mike and Cody, who got free airfare and accommodation and tickets to Bitcoin 2022. I hope you guys had an awesome time. It was great grabbing lunch with you guys. So cheers to both of you. But anyways, Shakepay.com, if you're in Canada, easy way to stack sats. E-transfers are super simple. They get loaded in minutes. Thin spread, no deposit fees, no withdrawal fees. If you use the link down below to sign up and buy your first $100 worth of Bitcoin, they will give you $30 for free, and you get the same deal if you refer other friends and family. And then you can shake your phone every single day for free sats. They've also got a sats back Visa card, which I've done videos on. So check them out. LEDN.io, you can use your Bitcoin for a ton of different services. Saw these guys down in Miami as well. They've got Bitcoin mortgages. Take a look. Those are coming in hot. So check them out. But if you're in a pinch, you need your hands on dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, well, you can use these guys. You deposit Bitcoin, get a loan of dollars to your bank account within 24 hours. When you pay back those dollars, you get back the same amount of Bitcoin. They also have savings accounts for Bitcoin and USDC. They got their B2X offer, and they got it all. Check them out. Links are down below. Bitrefill. Also saw these guys down there. Everybody was down there hanging out in Miami. They really helped me live on Bitcoin, because at Bitrefill, you can grab any gift card you like for Bitcoin, both on-chain and Lightning Network, which I use a ton. You earn sats back as you shop, and if you want even more sats back, you can use their referral program to earn a little extra. So check them out as well. They're down below. Keystone, you know these guys, one of my favorite most used hardware wallets. Totally air-gapped. You don't plug it into anything internet connected. Keeps the keys to your money safe and away from internet connections. And if you I highly recommend, obviously, that you upgrade to the Bitcoin-only firmware. It works awesome with Blue Wallet, Sparrow, Spectre. It's great in a multi-sig. Check them out. I do have a full tutorial on them as well. Links are down below. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, get in Steel, guys. Obviously, I saw the BillFodl guys down in Miami doing their thing, doing awesome. And yeah, this is how you back up an important Bitcoin wallet. It's how I do it. You don't want fire damage or water damage or any of that kind of stuff. So grab a BillFodl over at privacypros.io. Shout out to you guys. Glad I could see you down there. With that, let's dive into kind of what happened down in Miami. There's a lot to take in. I tried to take in as much as I could. The two main things that I really wanted to see were what Samson Mow had to say and what Jack Mallers had to say. I saw plenty of other stuff, and we'll get to that. But let's cover the meat of it here first. So Samson Mow's announcement was interesting, and it had kind of 3 facets to it. He was alluding to a lot of different stuff, and there was some build up around it. Now, I the announcements this year, I heard a lot of buzz around like, oh, it's going to blow last year out of the water. But like, how do you top the first nation state on earth actually endorsing and making Bitcoin a legal tender? The answer is you kind of don't, right? That's kind of like a once in a lifetime announcement to be present and experiencing that at a time when nobody expected something like that to happen. So in a way, I think we're a little bit spoiled in having experienced that last year. That said, these are still interesting things that were said here. So Samson Mao basically came in with different varying levels of legislation in 3 different countries in regards to Bitcoin. So first, he had somebody from Honduras in a place called Prospera. Okay, and it's an economic development hub located in Honduras, and basically they're saying that Bitcoin will act as legal tender there. No personal investors pay no personal income taxes there. Yeah, it's basically a de facto legal tender. On top of this, people are going to be able to float Bitcoin bonds. All right, so you're going to be able to create a Bitcoin-backed bond and create them in Prospera and neighboring jurisdictions within Honduras. So in a way, they're kind of beating El Salvador to the punch with that stuff related. Okay, with their volcano bonds, more or less. They also talk about Madeira. It is an autonomous region off the coast of Portugal. And the president of Madeira came and said that, again, kind of de facto legal tender there, no personal income taxes, no capital gains. And I think the corporate taxes are pretty low in comparison to other jurisdictions. And again, another potential place. Not that different from Portugal, though, because in Portugal, no cap gains on Bitcoin sales as well. So it's kind of a step above what Portugal is doing, and it's another region that you could look at as a Bitcoiner if you're kind of thinking of flag theory and, hey, maybe where do I want to go? Where do I want to go and live on my sats and earn Bitcoin and so on and so forth? It's something that could be on the docket. Now, the other interesting thing, and this is, I want to say it could have been the biggest deal, but it actually came across as more of this will be a huge deal if a number of things happen. And that was that Indira Kempis, a senator in Mexico, announced that she plans to propose regulation that will recognize Bitcoin as legal tender in Mexico. Now, zooming out, the implications of Mexico adopting Bitcoin as legal tender would be crazy, because like right now you can look and say, oh, El Salvador, I don't think this, but others just kind of wave it off. Well, it's a small country, doesn't really matter. It's one of the poorest nations in the Americas, and it's been kind of a rocky ride there. And sure, that's fair. While simultaneously introducing bills investigating the threat that this has to the US dollar. So, clearly some people get what's going on and how this is just kind of a first step. But Mexico would be a whole other ballgame, because it's no longer like a small, poor nation. This is a large nation in which the passport basically gets you most of the same benefits as having a US or Canadian passport, barring a few countries. So if you watch people like the Nomad Capitalist, a Mexican passport is actually quite good to have on a global scale. So, and it's not a poor nation. Like Mexico does pretty well on the global in ranking in the globe. So here's the thing, though. It's not a done deal. They're proposing legislation that then has to be voted upon and then approved. And what we ended up seeing was the legislation that's being proposed is effectively, there's a draft bill calling for a central bank digital currency to be legal tender in Mexico. Yeah, and claims state intervention is native to human rights. So basically, and I'll read some of the Cliff's notes here. Mexican Senator Indira Kempis recently introduced draft legislation amending the country's monetary law to include currencies issued by the central bank. Kempis outlines in repetition that that intervention from the Mexican state is necessary to the success of the financial system in Mexico. She also says that the state intervention is native and inevitable for the citizenry of Mexico to possess human rights and for the development of society. Basically, again, they're saying like, let's make a CBDC, which somebody on Twitter outlined. They had a great hashtag for it. They called them tyranny tokens, which I like. But so a lot of people saw this and were like, a politician saying one thing and doing another? Shocked. How could this possibly happen? Now, somebody else had a different take on it, and Samson Mao seemed to agree with this take. So this person on Twitter, Mononautical, to steel man the strategy for a moment, this could actually be very clever. In Mexico, bills proposed by senators follow this procedure. 1, reading in the Senate. 2, one member speaks briefly in favor, another against. 3, the Senate votes to throw whether or not to throw the bill out. 4, if it survives, the bill goes to a committee for study and analysis. Then the committee returns a proposal to the Senate for full debate. Then proposed legislation goes back and forth between amendment by committee and debate in the Senate until it is thrown out or approved. If Indira Kempis directly proposed Bitcoin as legal tender, the bill would never make it past the first vote in step 3. On the other hand, a pro-CBDC bill is very likely to reach the committee and debate stages because the central bank and government are already pursuing that course. Crucially, the bill amends legal tender laws with financial inclusion as the explicit goal. This opens the door to discuss other solutions to financial inclusion using those laws, including Bitcoin. But such a debate can't happen until a relevant bill reaches this stage. It seems like a risky move, but it isn't really. A CBDC is inevitable at this point, but preemptively bringing it to the Senate herself, Senator Kempis gains some control over the process and earns a prominent place in the debates that follow. And then he asked Samson Mao, how close is he? And he basically said it's spot on. So they're trying to, this announcement of like, hey, we're going to introduce a bill to get Bitcoin as legal tender in Mexico. And if that happens, then, that's a huge deal. More or less amounts to, hey, let's propose a CBDC on our own accord and try to Trojan horse some discussion about Bitcoin in there in hopes that all that will turn around and result in Bitcoin as legal tender. It's a long fucking shot. I'm not super confident that's going to happen. I don't know. It seems like the announcement was made to be a much bigger deal than it actually is. It would be huge if it happened, but it didn't happen. It hasn't happened. In my opinion, seems unlikely to happen at this stage. We shall see. Let's move on. Let's talk about Jack Mallers. Oh, this doesn't like to load. Okay, reload. So Jack Mallers had his announcement regarding Strike integration with the world's largest point of sale providers and with Shopify. Okay, so point of sale meaning basically he integrated with the providers that would be the equivalent of 1 in 6 point of sale terminals on Earth. And he on top of the Shopify thing, which is available now, Strike is integrated with Shopify. Cool, awesome. That's great. Another easy way for people to use Bitcoin. What he announced here is that Strike is enabling merchants, like brick and mortar merchants, to easily accept Bitcoin without any necessary physical upgrade to their infrastructure. So it's literally a software upgrade. What this would allow individuals to do is not just use like Strike or a custodial solution, to pay for goods at brick and mortar stores. It would enable individuals to use any Lightning wallet that they chose. And the list of merchants that this encapsulates is quite big, right? It's people like Walmart and McDonald's and there's some US chains that I'm not super familiar with, but I'm I'm told are quite large and influential. So it would mean that if, again, this rolls out in its entirety and all of these terminals have it available, it would be a huge deal. Like you could go and pay for basically anything you needed and just live off Bitcoin. That's super awesome. Now, the thing that I liked is in the demo video, Jack showed himself in a store, basically proof of concept how this would work. And his first demo was not him using Strike, was not him using Cash App or something like that. It was him using Zap, which is a Lightning wallet that connects to his own node, which is running at home with Lightning channels that he himself has set up. And he could have been mining those coins earlier. So like nobody knows whose coins there are. It's all done over Tor, and there's no kind of like identification requirement in that transaction. So what he's done here is enabled the return of cash levels of privacy, where you don't need to give up your firstborn child and every other, like give a DNA sample to buy a candy bar. So he walks into this store. He has a wallet set up, connected to his own node at home. It's all done over Tor. All the liquidity is his own, and he pays for Coke over Tor, which turned into a meme very quickly after he said it. But I digress. This is I'd say an exciting announcement. It's pretty cool what can be done here. It is not rolled out yet. In the presentation, he said Shopify is live now. But in the coming months, this will be rolled out. What is unclear to me is how much this is opt-in. Like, is it just a quick whatever? A push of a button? Is it automatic? Will these things update on their own and it'll just work? This announcement seems like a slow burn, right? Like it comes out, there's a lot of people that were very excited, but there's also a lot of people that were very dismissive, like, oh, it's BitPay. It's different than BitPay. Like BitPay, went the route of like bending the knee and having excessive amounts of KYC, and like it was just kind of, BitPay fucking blows is what I'm getting at. This doesn't seem to be that, again, because it reintroduces the idea that can be as private as cash if you want it to be. And so I think that's a big thing. I think over time this will be felt more and more, but it's going to not just take a few months to where that's available, but I think it's going to take years to where it just gradually becomes ubiquitous that you can just walk in and pay with Bitcoin. So while we don't really, a number of people don't really give a shit right now, it'll just be one day where it's like, well, of course I can pay with Bitcoin in any store. Like, it'll have been like that gradual, it's just available and you don't really notice that creep until it's just everywhere. So I think that's pretty cool. But again, like, how do you one up what he said last year? I don't think that ever will be the case again. I don't, that was a once in a lifetime feeling to be sitting with a group of people listening to the fact that the first nation state on earth has declared Bitcoin legal tender at a time when nobody expected it. Again, in a group of people that got it while the world at large won't get it for a decade. That was a pretty special moment. I don't want to detract from what Jack has done here. This is still a massive deal. And had we not been spoiled with what happened last year, this probably would have been much bigger news. But, hats off to him. He's building cool shit. He's making things a lot more accessible, and he's doing it in a way where people can, if they choose to, be self-sovereign about it, like his first example of using his own node and his own sats in a private way. So, yeah, hats off to Jack. I think that's awesome. Good for him. Let's move on. This was a big moment for me in Miami here. Obviously, things were pretty dicey here in Canada for myself and a number of others. Near the beginning of the year, there was the whole convoy protest, everything. I was involved in, along with a number of people that are on the screen here, in helping raise funds via Bitcoin for a number of people that were protesting. And very quickly, obviously, the Emergencies Act was enacted. Bank accounts started getting frozen. A lot of crazy stuff went on. Still kind of ongoing. Things have cooled down a little bit. The current thing changed. That maybe took some of the heat off. But regardless, it was pretty stressful. And I think a number of the individuals involved were also quite stressed about it. But this was the first time that all 5 of us were in a room together, ever. I obviously knew Jeff and Greg before. I've met them before. But it was my first time meeting BJ, and it was my first time meeting Nick. So we had a lot of good hugs. I'm not going to lie, I teared up a little bit, just having been what we've been through together over the past few months, and to finally see each other in person for the first time all together. It was a pretty... a pretty I don't really know how to describe it, but it was an intense moment for me, and I really appreciated being able to see all these guys there. So hats off to them. I've got to say, Nick is like the friendliest guy I think I may have ever met in my entire life. And yeah, man, he's still going through it, but he's like just this beacon of positivity. So Nick, it was awesome meeting you. BJ, it was awesome meeting you, having some lunch and everything too. And as always, Jeff and Greg were just great people. So really awesome to see them. Now, in the same vein, and I'm kind of going on a bit of a tangent here, but obviously there were privacy implications in and around the convoy, the funds that were raised and everything. Didn't really stop Bitcoin from getting where it needed to be, but in part, some of it got held up in different things. And one of the responses to that was people to start helping and building with better privacy tools that could have helped this. I met one of the guys that did. His name his NIM is Super Testnet, but he created something called whisper addresses. And my favorite is the description of why he created this. And we got chatting about it and everything. He's like, I wonder who he could possibly be talking about here. Imagine you want to create a website to help protesters receive Bitcoin in a country where protesting is illegal. You might create a spreadsheet that has the names of some of the protesters and their Bitcoin addresses, then put that spreadsheet online so people can find it easily and make their donations. I don't condone doing that, by the way. But hey, one of the problems with that approach is that donors aren't the only people that will see the page. The country's authorities could find the site too and order exchanges in their country to blacklist those addresses, quote, if they try to cash out that Bitcoin, confiscate it. It's like I really am at a loss as to who he's talking about here and what he's talking about. But let's keep going. This is where whisper addresses are helpful. Whisper addresses allow you to put something called a linking key into the field where Bitcoin addresses would go. Linking keys allow each visitor to your site to generate a Bitcoin address that belongs to the person who created the linking key. Each visitor will generate a whisper Bitcoin address, which no one can associate with the linking key except the person who generated it and the recipient of the money. Each whisper address will start out empty. If the police visit the site, they will see an address that no one has ever seen before and which will likely never be seen again after the police leave the site. They can blacklist the address, but there's no money in it, so it's no big deal. Each legit visitor will also generate a whisper address that belongs to the intended recipient. These whisper addresses will also be things that were never seen before and therefore are not on the police's blacklist. If the user sends money to it, they can also send some data to the intended recipient that allows them to find the address on the blockchain and withdraw the money into their own regular wallet. In short, the why of whisper addresses is censorship resistance. Whisper addresses are unique for each visitor to the site, cannot be associated with the recipient, and cannot be blacklisted by exchanges. Damn. Gotta check that out. Maybe that's going to be a video in the future. how to use it. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. There's some demo videos that they did on Twitter. Pretty cool. You know, here's Pleb Lab on Twitter that had a video of it. So yeah, this is why I'm bullish also on privacy, because like I was talking to a lot of people in Miami about this, but I think back to when the number one issue for Bitcoin was scaling. Everybody was freaked out about scaling in 2017. We didn't have SegWit, we didn't have Lightning Network. Look at us years later, and I'm not worried at all about scaling. Like, we've scaled incredibly well. There's even more stuff on the horizon for scaling. We're gonna be fine. Then I think of right now, and privacy seems to be front of mind for most people right now. That's a kind of a big issue that people are focusing on. And we've got more tools for privacy right now than we did in 2017 for scaling. And privacy has just kind of been pushed to the forefront recently. So think 5 years out of all of the incredible shit that's going to be built by then with the existing privacy stuff that we have right now. So I love seeing stuff like this. Hats off to Super Testnet. Pretty cool. Let's keep going. So let's talk some of the other talks that happened. And one of the ones that I really enjoyed was holding up the Billionaire capital allocators. It's not one that I thought I would be super interested in, but it was pretty great. Greg Foss headed this one up as the moderator. First thing he did is he came out on stage with a Canadian flag, and he took the blunt end of the stick, and he basically said, this is a Bitcoin conference, not a shitcoin conference. If I hear any of it, I'm going to come and give you a love tap on the head with my flag. So I like that. I also like that Greg basically didn't sit down for the entire panel. He just paced around and then gave a rant in between people's talks. So that was super funny. The thing about this panel that I really enjoyed was kind of the evident brain drain that is Bitcoin, that all of these individuals, you have, what are the names here? Orlando Bravo, Dan Tapiero, Ricardo Salinas, Marcelo Clory. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but these guys who are guys that have created massive, massive companies, been experts at allocating capital, efficiently building wealth. And they're pulling all of their focus from their previous ventures to focus in on Bitcoin. Like, they are actively allocating like huge portions of their wealth. In the case of Salinas, 60% of his wealth into Bitcoin. And so I've got to say, Ricardo Salinas, I was asleep on him, man. Like, he is deep down that rabbit hole, and his talk was fucking fire. He outlined his experience in Mexico through hyperinflation in the 1980s. And he basically showed that in 1980, he was making $2,000 a month equivalent US dollars in pesos. And he was doing quite well for himself, obviously, like especially back in 1980. In 8 years, that same number of pesos equivalent in US dollars, it went from $2,000 worth of pesos to $20 worth of pesos. Like, it got absolutely decimated. I was not even aware of the hyperinflation that happened in Mexico in the 80s. I didn't know it was that recent. I didn't know it was that bad. But he lived through it. He understood it, and he's seeing the same qualities to our currencies now, but in major countries. And so he seems to be right on top of things. And on top of it, he on this panel of billionaires, he kept on correcting people that would say crypto. He'd be like, oh, wait. We mean Bitcoin. Like, I don't know why we would put any money in shitcoins when it's clear that this is what's important. So I quite enjoyed Salinas in all his stuff. Now, Kevin OLeary was there. I don't know about Kevin OLeary. He did say he's going hard into Bitcoin mining. He previously hated Bitcoin. He kind of dove in head first now. He's now said that he's getting into like green mining. So he said that he's going to be doing it for the next 10 years basically hydro-powered Bitcoin mining and other forms of clean energy. Also, nuclear power he's super interested in. And that's all well and good, but holy fucking shit. This guy could not keep shit coins and NFTs and all that trash out of his mouth the entire weekend. Like he couldn't help himself. Every time he's on stage, every time there's a mic in front of his face, Ethereum, NFT, like all of this crap. And they tell, like, I've seen the emails to speakers. They say, like, okay, this is a Bitcoin conference. Can you guys like keep it on focus? If you want to go talk about that shit somewhere else, go talk about it. I received that email. He for sure, I mean, not that he fucking read it, but like, can you not help yourself for like half a second not to mention like some trash, like all, oh God. So anyways, I was passing him when I was going to get on the stage to to do the like ESPN style news desk. He was coming off and I was going on, but I was like, ugh, just kind of went around him as people swarmed to get pictures. Boo. Okay, what else did I see down there? If you couldn't tell by my shirt, I picked up a Ronin Dojo. Super excited about this. They don't ship outside of the US right now, but this is a backend for Samurai Wallet and Whirlpool, and got myself one. So you might not be able to see it, but it's on the shelf behind me over here, over next to my Umbral node as well. They're going to be friends. They're going to hang out together for a while. And I will be doing a video on this. I'm quite excited about that. So yeah, check that out. There's a few other things that kind of, a few of the things that caught my eye while I was down there. The Bitcoin company, obviously headed up by the Benz. We got to talk about the Benz in a second. I didn't even have that queued up, but so anyways, this allows you to spend dollars, earn sats back, with your regular credit cards and everything. Looks kind of sweet. I'm going to be dabbling in this pretty soon here. Yeah, pretty excited about that. By the way, the Benz. Okay, let's just remove this for a second. Let's chat about the Benz. If you're unfamiliar, there's a lot of Benz in Bitcoin. I will neither confirm or deny that I'm part of a private chat group with I believe somewhere in the realm of 18 Benz in Bitcoin. I will neither confirm nor deny that has taken place. But there has been an uprising of individuals that are not happy about this attack on the ratio of male names in the space, and they worry that there's a 51% attack underway. So there's been some pushback. So this obviously, it became a meme. There's a lot of Bitcoin Benz. I think there were 6, including myself, speaking at the conference, but many more were in attendance. And so during the recording of Tales from the Crypt, the rabbit hole recap with Matt Odell and Marty Bent, there was a protest, counter protest. So people brought out signs and they were holding them up like, I stand with Ben or Ben's build. And then other people just had signs that said like, fuck the Benz. And I think I saw a quote on Twitter saying this is the most interesting subplot of the conference. I agree. It was excellent. I thought it was super hilarious. Okay, what else is on my radar? Pay with Moon. I saw this again. Very interesting. You can create a digital Visa card and then load it with Bitcoin and then make regular purchases. Going to be playing with this as well. You can add it to your browser as a plugin. Kind of cool. I'll be checking that out. And then this, I said that I'm kind of focusing on mining this year. That's very much on my radar. And then I went to the home mining panel. First of all, shout out to Econo Alchemist. He did some awesome articles about this. And first time meeting him, super nice guy, and he knows a shit about mining. But I've got to say, I saw FutureBit on the stage there. They were talking about that, and Matt Odell seemed to think that this is pretty fucking cool. One node, one miner, one person. And yeah, so it has 6 cores, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte drive, and it's pretty affordable. 44 ASIC cores, 3 terahash a second of hash power with less than 200 watts. I'm told that's good. I'm told that's quite good for the amount of power that it uses. So You can just like plug it into a wall outlet if you wanted to. You don't need like specialized plugs. You don't need an electrician to come to your house and put in a stove plug or anything. So I'd love to get my hands on one of these. I'm going to see about this and maybe do a video on it and see what happens. Matt Odell made the case for, hey, this is, you know, even if you're not making quite as much Bitcoin with this, it's still pretty efficient. And when you're making your calculation, like you should be okay in this case with potentially, even if you weren't making a profit or as much of a profit, technically speaking, even if you're breaking even, it's the equivalent of just buying Bitcoin, right? Because you're getting Bitcoin back on the item that you purchased. So as long as you break even over time, then that's fine. He also said, and it was a good point, you should maybe be okay with even taking paying a slight premium in order to get this because it's non-KYC sats and your privacy is observed. Same is true when you use other ways to get non-KYC sats. You're going to have a little bit of a premium that you pay. So anyways, I'm super interested in this. I'll also do videos on regular ASIC mining and yeah, we'll see how that goes, but super interesting there. Let's keep going. Last couple things. So I talked to a lot of people while I was traveling. And the idea came up to do in-person workshops, like hands-on. I come to a city and we cover some sort of a topic, whether it be, you know, the basics of self-custody, backing up wallets, recovery, all that kind of stuff, perhaps, but also some more in-depth stuff. Like maybe I go to a city and we go like a deep dive on cold card. Like how do you set it up? How do you do air gapped transactions? How do you clone a cold card? How do you migrate it, recover it? How do you use a passphrase? All of these different things. Maybe we could do that. Maybe I could come and we could do an in-depth dive into how to do multi-sig entirely on your own and set it up with something like Sparrow Wallet and a couple different hardware wallets, something like that. The idea here would be getting in a group, capping attendance maybe to a maximum of 20 people. So I used to teach in schools too, like not this. I taught little kids how to break dance, but I could typically teach a class, you know, combined classes of like 50 or 60 kids. Something like this, I'd probably want to cap it at like 20 people because when you get a larger group, it's harder to get that focused attention and make sure everybody's understanding and everything. So I feel 20 I'd be pretty confident about. Now there's a lot of logistics involved here and expenses. You know, I got to fly to a place. I've got to get accommodation, Ubers, meals, all that kind of shit pops up. That can get expensive. That's why, and again, with limited class size, it's not like you can just invite 100 people because the quality isn't there. So anyways, I put up this thread. I kind of got feedback from people. Again, some people seem pretty interested in like cold card mastery or multi-sig, plenty other ideas. Always open to your ideas. So if you want some, just drop them into the chat and I'll peruse that afterwards. Price point, I'm kind of looking, and again, like if 10 people were to attend, I might be able to cover expenses between flights and accommodations and all of the other shit involved, renting up a space and all that kind of stuff with a ticket price around $250. You know, maybe with 10 people, $300, something like that. That seems to be the price range. I know that's going to be out of some people's price range. And then for others, they're going to be like, okay. And these would be like a half day workshops. Obviously, if that's happening, I want to meet all the other Bitcoiners that maybe either can't afford or just, you know, they already mastered the topic at hand. So I'd probably have a free meetup and Q&A afterwards and then drinks at a pub, things like that. Yeah, I'm just basically looking at feedback as to, you know, what would you look for from something like this? What seems like good ideas for topics, locations? If you got a spot that would be ideal, that a lot of Bitcoiners that might be interested in something like this. What are your thoughts on the pricing that I mentioned? Like, does it make sense? If not, would you concede more people at or price point, or is that kind of, does that get away from the purpose of having that kind of one-on-one interaction? anyways, any of your thoughts, highly valued. I'm still just like tossing this around. I don't even know if it's feasible. I might try a pilot one at some point in the next couple of months and see what happens. I don't even know if it's a good idea yet, but it would be really cool to be able to go around and actually get that, in person. Like, let's walk through this and do some like group projects around it. I think that would be super awesome. And it brings me back to my days of actually teaching in schools. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Last couple things here. In case you missed it, I dropped. And I should say, like, in the context of this, these traveling workshops, I will always continue to do free content on YouTube and tutorials that you will always be able to use. Okay, so the free shit is going to continue to be there. This is just another thing that obviously there's costs involved, and I can't like just dump money into it. But I will say, with that ticket price that I was mentioning, to kind of in a way of giving back, I would take like a percentage of the profits, probably like 10%, and I would just keep socking that away until enough built up that I could fly to El Salvador and do entirely free workshops for them down there. So I think that would be my goal, and hopefully people think that would be a good idea, but we'll see. Totally open to suggestions. Anyways, I did drop a tutorial on Monday. No, not Monday. Yesterday. Holy shit. I got back Monday. I did a tutorial yesterday on RoboSats. If you're unfamiliar, this is a way to buy Bitcoin entirely without KYC. And it's all done with Lightning Network. It's really fucking cool. I highly recommend you check it out. Yeah. I'm super impressed with it. It's only a few months old. Seemed to work like a charm. So check it out. Play around. The guys at RoboSats that are building this thing are super awesome. They were seemed to be pretty stoked that there's a video tutorial on it. So again, kudos to you guys. You're the ones building this shit, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So keep going. There you go. Another KYC on and off ramp. Check them out. And then I've got Why Are We Bullish? We're back tomorrow. We've got Sean Connell, Jin Urso, and Mark Stephanie. And it's all new guests, actually. Very exciting. So we'll be on tomorrow, same time, same channel, all that good stuff. And to wrap it up there, I know that I didn't hit everything about the conference, but I've got to say, it was a good fucking time. It was awesome. Got to see the plebs. Oh, no, we're not done. We're not done. Hold on. Back it up here. This is what I meant. This is what I wanted to do. Speaking of Why Are We Bullish? When I was down in Miami, I met a lot of great people, and I asked, well, why are you bullish? Why are you bullish? And I got some responses. I got a 4-minute clip with a mix of responses as to why are you bullish. Let's hear what they had to say.
The reason that I'm bullish on Bitcoin is because I've looked for a community of people, diverse people from all over the world that have come around a common purpose. And that common purpose is sound money, it's integrity, it's the search for truth. And there's no other community on this earth like the Bitcoin community. 30,000 people here in Miami that are all coming together for a better future. In the world of so much division, when it comes to politics, when it comes to social inclination, whether or not you had a vaccine or not, we got all these people coming together for something beautiful that's actually going to make the world a better place. And for that reason, I'm so bullish on Bitcoin. So many people come to Bitcoin out of fear. They worry about inflation, politics, where the state of the world's going. But the people who stay, they stay out of love. And that's what this whole damn thing is all about. It's about a whole lot of love.
I am bullish as fuck on Lightning. What do you think is going to happen when McDonald's, Starbucks, Walmart, the biggest chains in the world, realize they don't need to pay the 3% of fucking Visa anymore? Like, this is the future, man.
I am bullish really because my son, also Jason, and I recently discovered something called Generation B that was created by Autumn Domingo. That's right, Autumn Domingo. She'll actually be on a panel with Elizabeth Stark later on today. And she created a group for teenagers. My son's almost 15, and teenagers and other young people who are getting into Bitcoin. They meet online every week and I believe every Sunday, and they just talk about the things they're working on. They help each other out, collaborate, and that sort of thing. And not last night, the night before that, they had a meetup, an in-person meetup, and looking over at them, it was fire. Like all us grown-ups were sitting, all the old fogies were sitting over on the chairs or couches somewhere else. And every time I looked over at my son and his brother and several other kids, it was electrifying. And so I feel so bullish on the future. I feel so bullish on the rising generation. And it just makes me so excited for Bitcoin and everything that Bitcoin is doing right now and that will do for generations to come.
I'm bullish because Bitcoin is the phoenix rising from the ashes of fiat. It's the heartbeat of a world to come. TikTok, next block. Also, it fixed me. That's why I'm bullish as fuck.
I have like 10 million reasons for being bullish, but I'm bullish because Bitcoin is freedom, Bitcoin is love. I'm super bullish on mining. I can't believe all the innovations that are happening in that space and how it's going to affect the energy sector. I think that the US is about to get schooled on energy, so that makes me super bullish. And I'm bullish because of the plebs. My God, I've met so many amazing people here that are holding Bitcoin. They all have a message, they all have a reason. They're really grounded in saving humanity, frankly, from government overreach. So from the moment I heard about Bitcoin, I watched my first video maybe 2 years ago, and it just like all hit me at one time, the messages that Bitcoin has to share with us all. And I'm just now understanding the fundamentals behind that message. So I'm still a newbie in this space, but I invite everybody to join me. Come on, get off zero. That's all you got to do.
I'm bullish because as the world continues to get more and more centralized, I think that Bitcoin is one of the best tools that we have available to pull in the other direction, decentralize, and protect our hard work and savings for the future.
Bitcoin fuckboy. Why am I bullish on Bitcoin? I'm here for the big titty bitches and eternal riches.
How's that for the last one? I'm going to say Bitcoin fuckboy that was probably one of the best introductions that, that I've ever had to somebody. He like ran across a grassy area outside. And he's like, yo man, Bitcoin fuckboy. I don't know. I had to laugh. It was fantastic. Anyways, it was a hell of a time. And her name is Bitcoiner Bish on Twitter, but she was absolutely right. Meeting all the plebs, hanging out was just so awesome. There's a guy on Twitter named Hodl Tarantula, and he was like, let's do a get together. We're going to find a place for all the plebs to go. And he called up some random taco joint, like a small place, like had, I think 4 tables inside and maybe 2 outside. And he calls them up. He's like, yo, I've got a fuckload of people to bring. Do I need a reservation? And they're like, no, like you can just come. He's like, I don't think you understand. I have a fuckload of people. And they told him just come. And so they show up and like, I don't know, must have been 100 plebs just descended upon this taco joint. We're just everywhere, all having beers until they shut down. And it was an incredible time. And, we we had a few good chants of fuck shit coins and all the good stuff. And then we wandered down to the beach. It was a great time. So I got to say, shout out to all the plebs. Shout out to everybody that came up and said hello. And there were multiple times where, I teared up a little bit, where just everybody was so nice and gracious and kind to even come up and say anything to me at all. And, I totally lost my voice just from talking to like amazing people that just wanted to come up and say, hey, thanks for making a video, or thanks for helping me learn something. And I'm eternally grateful for that. And it was definitely a time I'll never forget. So if you came up and said hey to me, just know that it was, I felt it here, and I very much appreciate it. So thank you guys so much. With that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to help with the show, you can hit up the sponsors down below: Shakepay, LEDN, Bitrefill, Keystone, BillFodl. They're all down there. Of course, like, subscribe, share. All that really helps. And if you really like what you saw, you can drop me a Bitcoin tip at my Strike page, strike.me/BTC sessions. Type any amount you like there, hit the tip button. You'll see a Lightning invoice. Or if you like, you can tap to the right and you'll see a regular Bitcoin QR code. With that, I'm out. I'll be back tomorrow for Why Are We Bullish? Yeah, that's it. Have a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.